People often think that change happens suddenly. A big moment, a big decision, or a big push creates a new life. But science shows that real change starts long before we notice it. It begins with tiny signals inside the brain, small shifts in awareness, and microscopic drops of motivation or resistance. Most people miss these early signals, and that's why change feels so hard. But once you understand what actually happens inside your brain before change begins, you can control the process instead of being controlled by it. Let's start with a surprising experiment. Scientists discovered that your brain starts preparing for change almost 7 seconds before you consciously decide anything. That means your brain predicts your choices before you think you're making them. This hidden brain activity shapes your habits, reactions, and decisions. Think about this. Every time you try to start a new habit or break an old one, your brain has already begun the process before you even feel ready. This is why change often feels like a push and pull. Your conscious mind wants one thing, your subconscious wants another. Here's something else most people never hear. Your brain is built to resist change. Not because you're weak or lazy, but because your brain is designed to save energy. Any new habit requires more energy than an old one, so your brain automatically slows you down to protect itself. This is why starting feels harder than continuing. The first 2 minutes of any new behavior take the most effort. The good news is that once those 2 minutes pass, your brain begins to cooperate instead of fighting you. Now imagine this. Every behavior you repeat becomes smoother, faster, and more automatic. Neurons fire together, form stronger connections, and eventually create a mental shortcut. This is why habits feel effortless once they are established. It's not motivation, it's wiring. If you want to change your life, stop relying on motivation and start relying on wiring. Your brain doesn't care if the habit is good or bad. It will automate whatever you repeat. So the real question is, what are you repeating without noticing? Here's a pattern interrupt. Think about the last big change you tried to make. Maybe you wanted to wake up earlier, exercise, study more, or stop wasting time on your phone. Remember the moment you failed or gave up. What felt like lack of discipline was actually your brain switching back to energy-saving mode. Your old habit had a stronger neural pathway than the new one, and your brain simply took the easier route. You didn't fail. Your wiring won. That brings us to something powerful. If you want to change anything about your life, you don't need to fight harder. You need to make the new behavior easier than the old one. Tiny adjustments like moving your phone out of reach, preparing your clothes the night before, or breaking tasks into 2-minute actions change your brain's energy calculation. When something feels easier, the brain stops resisting. This is why small changes beat big goals. But there's another layer to this puzzle. Your brain constantly runs predictive models. It tries to guess what will happen next based on what has happened before. If your brain predicts that you will fail, you feel fear, hesitation, or procrastination. If it predicts success, you feel motivation, clarity, and action. So the difference between taking action and avoiding action often comes down to prediction, not ability. You can actually train your brain to predict success by creating small wins. Every small win tells your brain, this is safe. This works. Do it again. Over time, your predictions change and your behavior follows automatically. Let's add another science-backed curveball. When you imagine a behavior vividly, your brain activates almost the same neural circuits as when you physically do it. This means your brain practices change before you actually change. Athletes use this technique to improve performance. You can use it to rewire your habits, build confidence, and increase self-control. Your brain can't fully distinguish between strong imagination and real experience. If you imagine yourself waking up early, studying consistently, or speaking confidently, Your brain begins building pathways for those behaviors before you even try them. Now let's talk about identity. Most people fail at change because they start with behavior, not identity. They think, I want to exercise instead of, I am the kind of person who exercises. Science shows that identity-based change creates stronger and more lasting neural pathways. Your brain supports behaviors that match your identity and resists behaviors that don't. So the fastest way to change is to shift how you see yourself. Tell your brain a new story and give it repeated evidence. The story becomes true not because it's magic, but because your brain follows identity more than intention. Here's a surprising truth. You don't need to feel ready to start. Readiness is a feeling created by the brain after you take action, not before. This is why people who wait for the right time rarely begin. Action creates clarity, not thinking. Once you take the first step, your brain shifts from prediction to participation and supports the change instead of resisting it. If you want to feel ready, start before you feel ready. Let's pause for another pattern interrupt. Think about the last time you pushed yourself to do something uncomfortable, maybe speaking up, trying something new, or taking a risk. Remember how your heart raced and your mind hesitated? That sensation wasn't fear of the action. It was your brain telling you, this is unfamiliar. But unfamiliar isn't dangerous. It's just new wiring forming. Every time you step into discomfort, you force your brain to evolve. Now let's talk about emotional energy. Most people think logic drives change, but emotions control action. The brain uses emotions to decide what is important. If you attach a strong emotion to a goal, excitement, fear, curiosity, pride, the brain moves faster. If a goal feels emotionally empty, the brain deprioritizes it. To make change stick, you must make it emotionally meaningful. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? The stronger your emotional reason, the stronger your neural drive. Here's something powerful. Your environment changes you even when you're not paying attention. What you see, hear, and interact with sends microsignals to your brain that shape your behavior. If your environment supports your goals, change becomes easier. If your environment conflicts with your goals, change becomes nearly impossible. This is why cleaning your workspace, surrounding yourself with focused people, or reducing digital noise instantly boosts productivity. Your brain is always adapting to the environment you place it in. We also need to talk about self-sabotage. People sabotage themselves not because they hate success but because success threatens their current identity. When you grow, you leave comfort zones, routines, and sometimes people behind. The brain fears loss more than it desires gain, so it protects your old identity by sabotaging your new one. When you understand this, you can catch the sabotage early. When your brain says, this is too hard, what it really means is, this is unfamiliar. That awareness alone breaks the pattern. Now here's the final truth. Change is not a big moment. Change is a series of tiny, often invisible adjustments that your brain makes every day. Most people wait for motivation. But real transformation happens when you build systems, shape your environment, practice small wins, rewrite your identity, and allow your brain to adapt gradually. So if there is something you want to change in your life, don't wait for a perfect day or perfect mood. Start with tiny steps, train your brain with small wins, imagine your success, and shape your identity around the person you want to become. Your brain will follow. And once it does, change becomes effortless.